we'll make a start. If I could just remind members, if you want to come in and speak, if you can use the reactions button at the top of your screen and put your hand up. Failing that, just whoever shouts the loudest gets in first. So we'll make a start. Brian, have we got any apologies or substitutions this morning?
One apology from Councillor Jack Redmond from Falkirk Council.
Okay, thanks for that, Brian. Item 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Does any member have a declaration at this point, or you can make it in a particular agenda item if need be? No? Okay, no. Thanks for that. That takes us on to item 3, the minute of the meeting held on the 1st of July this year. Can we agree the accuracy of the minute?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 4, appointment of Deputy Convener. Brian's going to lead us through this. Can I just maybe start off by apologising to members for the mix-up at the last meeting? It wasn't noticed that obviously the 2 members elected were from the same authority, so that's why we're having to revisit this for the Deputy Convener. But I'll hand over to Brian at this point. Brian.
Thanks, Convener. To be honest, in a nutshell, that's what I was going to say. We appointed erroneously Councillor Deakin at the last meeting, and apologies for that. So that decision didn't stand, so we're required to appoint a Deputy Convener at this meeting. And just to be really clear, they can't be from Falkirk Council, so it has to be a representative from Stirling or Clerk councils. Just as before, I'll look for nominations. They don't have to be seconded, just if anybody wants to nominate the position. I see hands up. Good, I think Councillor Deakin was first.
Can I nominate Councillor Balsillie? Hopefully I pronounced that right.
There's lots of hands up. I saw Councillor Bissett, his hands up next.
I'll nominate Councillor Earle.
Councillor Earle,
can I nominate Councillor Martha Benny, please?
Yeah, so who said that?
Elaine Watterson.
Oh, thanks, Elaine. Councillor Earle, you had your hand up yourself?
Yeah, just to nominate myself.
Fine, so that's already done. And then was there another hand? Councillor Patrick, did you have your hand up?
It was, I was going to nominate Councillor Benny as well, so that's been, Elaine's beaten me to it.
Okay. So check I've got enough paper for this. So we've got 3 nominations. So just like before, what we'll do is we'll go through each member, starting the convener, then going alphabetically to see your nominations. If anybody gets a clear majority, then they would go. If not, then the person with the fewest votes would drop off and we'd repeat the process. Okay. Councillor Nimmo.
Councillor Earle.
Councillor Balfour.
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Benny.
Councillor Benny.
Councillor Bissett.
Councillor Earle.
Councillor Deakin.
Councillor Balsillie.
Oh,
Councillor.
yeah, why aren't you in?
I'm trying to get him 30
Right,
right
could
now.
I just ask
Okay.
Councillor Watterson to turn up? Oh, it's okay, thanks. Councillor Earle.
Saying anything now, but nobody's in.
I need to go.
I'll try and mute Councillor Watterson. Maybe just a reminder, members when I'm not speaking could have their mic up there on mute, please. Councillor Earle, sorry.
Myself.
I don't think Councillor Henke managed to join us yet. So we'll move on to Councillor McGarvey. I don't think she was on the call either. Councillor Patrick.
Councillor Benny.
Councillor Redmond wasn't on the call. Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Balsillie.
and Councillor Watterson.
Councillor Benny.
So, yeah. Okay, so we have situation that Councillor Earle got 3 votes, Councillor Balsillie got 5 votes, and Councillor Benny got 3 votes. So if you just give me a second, we need to just deal with that situation. I just want to check if any other members had joined us. If Councillor Henke had managed to come into the call. I don't see. I wonder if Convener, just because of the importance of this, and I know he's trying to get in, if we want to give him a moment just to see if we can get him into the call.
Quite happy for that.
The members just happy we could content just to see if we can get Councillor Henke to join the call, so in the way he's trying to get in.
Agreed.
Okay, if we can just wait 1 minute, please.
Excuse me.
Convener, I can see his name on the list now.
Let's get try again. It's off mute now.
I think you're on mute. Oh, sorry, Councillor Henke, have you managed to join us? You're on mute.
Yeah, finally got you.
Thank you. So just you've caught us at the point of voting for the deputy convener. We have 3 nominations: Councillor Earle, Councillor Balsillie, and Councillor Benny. And we've held back so you can cast your vote on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
So
Do I just say who I'm voting
yeah,
for?
just say it. So it's Councillor Earle, Benny, or Balsillie.
Councillor Benny.
Okay, thank you. So that then revises it to Councillor Earle got 3 votes, Councillor Balsillie got 5 votes, and Councillor Benny got 4 votes. So in terms of the standing orders for the meeting, Councillor Earle would fall from the list and would vote again on Councillor Balsillie and Benny. So if we just repeat the process, Councillor Nimmo,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Balfour,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Balsillie,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Benny. You're on mute.
Councillor Benny.
Thank you. I really didn't want to presume there. Councillor Bissett,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Deakin,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Earle,
Councillor Balsillie.
Councillor Henke.
Councillor Benny.
So just could you repeat that? You broke up. Was it Benny?
Yes, please, Benny.
Thank you. Councillor McGarvey is not here. Councillor Patrick.
Councillor Benny.
Councillor Redmond's not here. Councillor Robertson
Councillor Balsillie.
and Councillor Watterson.
Councillor Benny.
Okay, thank you. So the votes after the second round were 7 for Councillor Balsillie and 4 for Councillor Benny. So Councillor Balsillie is duly appointed the deputy convener of the Valuation Joint Board. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Brian. Congratulations, Donald.
Congratulations.
I look forward to working with you in the future. On that note, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. It's agenda item 5, the revenue budget for 2022-23. Is Lindsay there, or is it Elizabeth that's taking this one?
That's myself. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Convener. This report provides the board with the forecasted financial position for the year to 31st of March 2023 as at June. The report shows a forecast underspend of 215,000 for the year. Within Table A, you'll see the detailed underspends with the majority relating to employee costs totalling 195,000. This is mainly due to delays in recruitment to vacancies. The balance of 20,000 relates to underspends on legal expenses and computing software costs. It's worth noting that we're not anticipating any increase in utility costs in 22-23 as the board procures its utilities on a national contract 2 years in advance. For 22-23, the pay settlement was not agreed at the time the budget was set, and an amount equivalent to 2% was included. At the time of this report, discussions are ongoing regarding the actual pay award, but it is estimated to be around £70,000 additional costs. This will be funded from the in-year underspends on staffing, and a further update will be provided for September's outturn. Myself and other officers are happy to take any questions that you may have.
Okay, thanks for that, Elizabeth. Do we have any questions or comments for Elizabeth?
No.
I don't see anybody's hand raised. No, we agree the recommendations.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks for that.
Agreed.
Move on to item 6, the final annual accounts for 21-22. I take it that's yourself again, Elizabeth? No?
No.
No, it's Lindsay.
Lindsay?
Good morning.
Morning.
So this report details the audited annual accounts for the board for the year 21-22. So the board has a statutory obligation to prepare a statement of accounts and have these audited by an external auditor. So these audited accounts must then be approved by the board annually by the 30th of September. The board considered the draft accounts at its meeting on the 1st of July. And during the audit period, there have been 2 changes to the accounts since the draft was presented, and these are detailed in section 2.9 of the report. The changes do not impact on the bottom line figure, and the reserves position remains as it was previously reported, a net increase in reserves for the year of 105,000 and total reserves of 623,000. I'd just like to draw to the attention of the board that there is a presentational error on page 32 of the accounts within the movement in reserve statement. The figure of 3.333 million decrease in the year on unusable reserves is shown with brackets around it, which indicates a decrease. However, this is actually an increase in the year and should not have brackets around it. This has been amended in the final accounts for signing, and there is no impact on the rest of the figures. The board is asked to approve the final audited annual accounts in consideration of the auditor's report, which is next item on the agenda. If approved, an email will then be sent to the convener, assessor and treasurer to sign the accounts following this meeting, and these accounts will then be signed by the external auditor. I'm happy to take any questions on the paper or the accounts. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Lindsay. Any questions or comments from members?
No.
Again, there's no hands up, so I can take it we're agreeing the recommendations.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks for that. That takes us on to item 7, the annual report for those charged with governance and the Controller of Audit for financial year ended 21-22. Who's taking this one?
Hi, that's me, Amanda. Thank you. So I'm going to present our 2021-2022 annual audit report on Central Scotland Valuation Joint Board, which details our audit work over the annual accounts. I'm not going to go through the papers page by page, but there are certain areas that I'd like to highlight to your attention, so I'll just go through those. Page 99 of the committee papers includes our cover letter, which summarises our audit work and confirms that we expect to be able to issue an unqualified audit opinion, pending your approval of the accounts at this meeting. The independent auditor's report is attached on pages 101 to 104 and is also replicated within the annual accounts considered in the previous agenda item. So as part of our completion of the audit, we are seeking written representations from the Treasurer as the Section 95 officer on aspects of the annual accounts, including the judgments and estimates made in accordance with ISA 580. And this is included in your board papers at page 105 to 107. So this should be signed and returned to us by the Treasurer with the signed annual accounts prior to the independent auditor's report being certified. You'll also see our proposed annual audit report can be found on pages 108 to 124 of your committee papers. Our key messages are summarised on page 110. We've concluded that the financial statements give a true and fair view of the Valuation Joint Board as at the 31st of March 2022, that the audit part of the remuneration report has been prepared in accordance with the applicable regulations, and that the management commentary and the annual governance statement are consistent with the financial statements and have been prepared in accordance with the applicable guidance. Exhibit 2 on page 115 of your board papers highlights the significant findings that we're required to report to those charged with governance in accordance with ISA 260. The only significant finding to report is in relation to the classification of income due from one of the constituent authorities. This was adjusted in the accounts and there was no impact on the Valuation Joint Board's net result. We've also made audit recommendations which are summarised in Appendix 1 on pages 121 and 122 of your papers. Management have included responses and agreed actions as appropriate for these. So following the board meeting, as Lindsay said, we will ask for the accounts to be signed electronically using DocuSign. An email will be sent out to the Assessor, Convener of the board and the Treasurer so that they can sign the accounts digitally. So that concludes my summary of our annual audit report, and I'm happy to take any questions on any points or recommendations that we've made. And before that, I would just like to thank Lindsay, Elizabeth and the finance team for their help throughout the audit process. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Amanda, and thanks for the run through as far as the report's concerned. Any questions or comments again from members?
No.
And again, I don't see any hands up, so are we happy to agree the recommendations?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thanks for that. That takes us on to item 8,
Thanks, Amanda. Sorry.
Electoral registration update, Peter.
Yeah, I've presented a report to the board just to provide a 6-monthly update on what activity is undergoing currently with electoral registration, what activity we've taken since I last reported to the board. I don't propose to go through the paper in detail. Suffice to say the annual canvass is ongoing, and I'm pleased to report that everything is running smoothly and is on track for the publication of the new register on the 1st of December. The local government elections went very smoothly from our perspective in the electoral registration office. A few numbers of emergency proxies, but generally one of the quietest elections I've known in terms of smoothness of process, which is good to see. I think looking forward is probably the item probably draw towards members' attention, and that is the introduction of voter authority certificates, which is being introduced by the Elections Act. It will only apply for UK parliamentary elections in Scotland, so it doesn't affect local government elections and Scottish Parliament elections. But as electoral registration officer, I'll be required to issue anybody who doesn't have voter ID with a voter authority certificate. In fact, anybody can apply for a voter authority certificate, even if they do have voter ID, but we would strongly discourage it as not being necessary, but there is no block to somebody doing that. I've set out the type of documents that can be used as voter ID in the polling station, but the authority certificate is for people who don't have that type of identity document. The government estimates between 2 and 4% of the population will need a voter authority certificate. I think one of the things for us is an unknown as to how many people will actually apply for it. The process will be that there will be an online portal for people to apply. It will take people through the process. They will need to supply a national insurance number and date of birth as part of that process. It will check whether they're on the electoral register, but it will sort of, as you go through the user journey, flag up that, if you've got a passport, you don't need a voter authority certificate. If you've got a photo driving license, you don't need a voter authority certificate. So the aim is to make sure that only people who really need it actually use the service. We will be able to download the results from a portal, check if we're happy with the photographs, and then the authority certificates will be A4 paper and will be issued by a third-party supplier. The deadline for applying for a voter authority certificate will be the same as for proxies, which is 6 working days before the election at 5 PM will be the cut-off. If somebody has lost their sit after that point, if somebody loses their certificate, or for instance, their passport hasn't come back from the passport office, if they're getting it renewed, they will be able to apply for an emergency proxy on the basis that they have lost or can't get their voter authority certificate for reasonable reasons. So the service is due to go live in January. As yet, the secondary legislation has yet to be laid in Westminster, so we don't know the full details. I've outlined as much as I understand it to be. And then I will just have to see what the demand is. I'm personally anticipating a small spike when the system goes live, but I think we'll probably see, as with register to vote, anything like that, it will be ahead of an election that we actually see the significant numbers of applications going through. There are no scheduled elections in Scotland next year. There are scheduled local elections in England, and voter authority certificates will be required for those elections. So we will get a sense of demand and issues through observing what happens at the English local elections. I'll pause there, and I'm happy to take any questions either on that or any other item in my report.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Peter. There's only one hand up so far indicating they wish to speak. Kenny, do you want to come in?
Yeah, Pete's partially answered my question. I was going to ask about people who don't have access to the internet.
Yes, people can apply on paper. They could complete a form and send it into the office. Equally, we are looking at being able to offer in-person applications within the office. So that will mean that we would take the person's photograph, and I suspect we would probably upload their details onto the website and then take it through. But we will need to train our team up here to make sure they can handle in-person applications.
So you're saying they can get an application form directly from the office, I assume, yeah?
I think that's one level of detail. We've yet to see the design of the forms or quite how that will be there, but certainly we would make them available. In terms of what we normally do is also put these forms online, but I would have to say we would probably encourage, a bit like register to vote, we'd encourage people to register online for a voter authority certificate, but we will make sure there's arrangements for anybody who doesn't have access.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You okay with that, Kenny?
I'm fine with that, yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up at this point. Is there anybody else wanting to come in with any comment or questions?
Yep.
Oh, we agree the recommendations?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. That takes us on to item 9, the programme and meetings for next year. Now, you'll note from the list of dates that there's 4 dates for next year for board meetings. The first one being the 3rd of March. Now, that is set in the proviso that we'll have the budget details in front of us, but that could very well be subject to change. So it's just to make you aware of that. But I'll hand over to Bryan just to introduce the paper.
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Basically, we're recommending the dates that are set out in the report of 3rd of March, 30th of June, 22nd September and 17th of November for the meetings of the board next year. Moving on to just the arrangements for the meeting, suggesting that we look to carry on with hybrid meetings as the main way of the board meetings, but suggesting that obviously today this is a hybrid meeting, it's the first one the board's had, and suggest that this one and the next one are hybrids, and then we pause just to reflect on members' experience of how they feel this has worked. Obviously today we have myself, the convener and officers of the board in, with all the other members attending remotely. We're interested maybe after the meeting, convener, we could take a couple of minutes just to get some feedback from you and how you think it's went in terms of the sound and the camera. And we'll do the same after the next meeting and get your view on whether that should be the default way going forward. And the other thing just to add is that we will get on to live streaming meetings in due course. We're just trying to figure out how to do that, but certainly we're recording today's meeting and we will post that on a YouTube channel. And if we carry on with hybrid or remote meetings, then that would be a practice we'd like to carry on so that there's public accessibility and scrutiny of the board's decision making. So the recommendations are just to agree the dates, noting, as the convener said, that the March meeting may be subject to change depending on the Scottish Government budget information. Agree to run the meetings as hybrid meetings, subject to review on this basis at the next meeting. And as I said, note that special meetings could be convened as necessary. Thanks, Convener.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Donald, you want to come in?
It's just an observation, Chair. I believe the 30th of June is the start of the school holidays for all three constituent local authorities, and perhaps we could put that back a week, although the 24th of June is Armed Forces Day, where a number of us may have sort of commitments. So it's just an observation really in terms of that that programme that I see in front of me.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Donald. It's worth noting. I think Brian could maybe go away and possibly come back with maybe an alternative date, just to try and suit everybody or as many people as possible. But other than that, can we agree the recommendations for this? We will have a discussion after the agenda is completed regarding the format for these virtual meetings, just to see that everybody's happy or if there's indeed any issues. So we will do that once the meeting's finished. But can we agree the recommendations for the date?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thanks for that. That takes us on to item 10, exclusion of the public. Now, I don't think there's any members of the public logged in here today, so that allows us to go on to item 11. That's the
Convener, sorry, if I could just interrupt. At this point, Sophie is on the call. Sophie, would you stop the recording of the meeting?